start our webinar. First of all, okay, everyone can see me, right? All right, okay. Hello and good morning again to everyone. For those who have just joined us, and welcome to today's session. Our topic today is about the introduction to advanced driver assistance system, and then we know that as ADAS. All right. Thank you for joining us again. I'm Susanna Muhammad from MRC Malaysia. This is our first webinar in collaboration with Unipack, Engineering Sdn Bhd and Untitled Asia Pacific. I would like to introduce our presenter today. They are Mr. Steve Miller, CEO of MRC Malaysia, Mr. KY, Regional Technical Trainer from Hotel Asia Pacific. Okay. Before that, let me go through the agenda today. Okay. First, we will start off with a brief introduction from the GM of Unipack Engineering Sdn Bhd, Mr. Daryl. After that, we will have Mr. Steve Miller and Mr. KY to presenting on the current and future priorities and introduction to ADAS. Okay, and then we follow by the Q&A session after the presentation. Okay. Just a little housekeeping before that we are started. If you have any question during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A button in your control panel below. Okay, I will bring them up during the Q&A session, and then we will try our best to answer it. Right. A recorded version of this webinar will be available later, and the link will be shared with you soon. All right. Without further ado, we will turn the time over to Mr. Daryl for the introduction of Unipack Engineering Sdn Bhd. I pass to Daryl now.
Thank you very much, Susanna. Can everyone hear me fine? Okay. Good morning, everyone, and hope you're all keeping safe and well amidst this challenging pandemic times. First and foremost, I would like to thank Steve, Susanna, and Ng, and of course the MRC team for putting together this very important session this morning. Now, a bit of introduction. My name is Daryl, and I'm actually the General Manager of Unipack Engineering. At Unipack, we pride ourselves for having 47 years of experience in the area of all things related to automotive workshop equipment. Our experience ranges from passenger and commercial vehicle workshops, body and paint collision centers, training centers and facilities, and with growing importance in recent years, diagnostic and inspection centers. With how the car manufacturing industry is evolving at such a rapid pace every day, it is crucial for us to pay more and more closer attention to the correct repair process as to make sure that safety and accuracy is never compromised, and that we do not become laggards in this ever-evolving industry. A bit of introduction on Autel. The Autel Intelligent Corp is one of the leading aftermarket vehicle diagnostics and system solution provider. Being industry leaders in North America, Europe, and Japan, there is no better expert to share and demystify all the technological advancements and complexities in the sector and how to correctly approach the repair process of these new vehicles. Over the years, they have grown to be our very strategic partners here at Unipack. So sit back and we hope you have an enjoyable and most importantly, an educational session. Now I'd like to pass the floor back to Steve. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending and making your time available this morning. I see we've got 265 people currently on board and ready to listen to what we've got to say. So thank you for that. Thank you for taking the time. This is the first webinar that we've done, and we wanted another way of being able to communicate with everybody whilst the training and the research center is a little bit constrained due to the COVID restrictions, etc., etc. So what we wanted to do first was give an overview over something that what we feel is the biggest change coming to the vehicle in the next 5 years, and it's already started, it's already well underway. But I think as an organization, we need to be reminding the stakeholders that there's a lot more that we need to do in terms of the awareness, as Darryl quite rightly said, in terms of the explanation, in terms of the calibration that we're going to go through using our expert partners, Autel. So it's an important subject. It's a little bit long. You know, we've got a lot of slides to get through because we've got a lot of information to transfer. So get your coffees, get comfortable, and take on board what we're going to explain and go through. And so my first slide is really talking about the current and future priorities of vehicle. And, you know, the vehicle's not really changed in 50 years, until maybe 5 years ago. The vehicle pretty much was the same thing, some nice add-ons, but really, to all intents and purposes, it was the same. However, since 4 or 5 years ago, we see these three areas as the key disruptors to the technology, the repairability, the damageability, and how a car is owned, how a car is used in the future. And this future is happening now, and it's happening very quickly. So the three areas we talk about are automated, connected, and electric. And when we talk about automated, we talk about ADAS, we talk about assisted automated driving facilities, technologies. I'm not going to go into it, I'm not the expert, but that's going to come in the next hour or so. And then we talk about connected vehicles, how very soon the vehicles in the next lane to you are going to communicate with you, and the issues around that, particularly around cybersecurity. And we also know that electric vehicles are going to become more and more apparent in the market. There's many manufacturers now that have said in the very, very near future, they're only going to produce electric vehicles. And with that, what comes with the technology, what comes with the repairability, how do insurers handle that? And so it's a very, very wide ranging topic. So today we're just going to talk about the ADAS and the automated driving, the different types and how that needs to be managed if you're an insurance company, if you're a loss adjuster, if you're a repairer, or anybody else really involved with the management of that vehicle. Okay, next slide, please. So I said this was the future. Slide, please. Thank you. I said this was the future, and this slide is actually about 3 years old now. And this slide is a picture of an Audi A8. And when it was launched, it was the most advanced road vehicle in the world in terms of the materials being used, in terms of the voltage architecture, and in terms of the ADAS equipment that was fitted on this vehicle as standard. You know, so as you can see, 18 sensors covering LiDAR, covering scanners, both short and long range, all around LEDs, the 48 volt electric architecture, and obviously made with aluminium, high strength steels, and a carbon fiber body structure. So this was like 3 or 4 years ago, and this was the slide we were talking about as the future. However, if we show you the next slide, this shows you that the future is already here. Okay, so here we look at two different manufacturers, the most popular in Malaysia by far, Proton and Perodua. We take two models, the X70 and the Arus, and you can see on both vehicles, they have a heavy dependency on ADAS equipment, okay? Whether it's autonomous emergency braking, collision warning systems, lane departure systems, cruise control, blind spot control. So even the high volume, high consumer vehicles now are being fitted with ADAS equipment, okay? And why is this important to you as a member of our audience? Well, you're going to learn over the next hour or so why it's important. So we're not now just talking about the Audi A8. We're not talking about prestige vehicles. We're talking about high volume, high selling vehicles that have more and more ADAS equipment fitted to them. And as an insurance company, as a loss adjuster, and as a repairer, you need to understand the impact of that on the claims process and the repair process, and from a consumer's perspective, from a safety process. Okay, so you know, it's not, oh, this is not going to happen in Malaysia, you know, this will never happen. This is happening here. And I often talk about whether you're a regulator, whether you're an insurance company, whether you're a consumer, okay, you will be directed by the manufacturer as per the direction of the vehicle, because every manufacturer is basically in a race to put as much technology on that vehicle as possible. Okay, so we can say that yes, it's Malaysia, it's not Europe, it's not the US, etc. It doesn't matter. The manufacturer is pushing ahead very quickly this technology on the vehicles, which is why we need to be aware of it and we need to think about it in our repair and claims process. Okay, all right, so I'm going to hand it over now. I come back in later on. The experts are going to take over and explain the need of good repair technology, good repair techniques, and the importance of it in vehicle repair. Okay, all yours.
Okay, thanks, Steve. So, hello and good morning, everyone. My name is KY. So, I'm from Altel. So, first of all, I would like to thank MRC and Unipad giving me a chance here to share some information related to ADAS. So, recently, ADAS is getting very popular in Malaysia. As Steve has mentioned, that our Proton and Perodua Arus come with a lot of ADAS features. So what is actually ADAS? So when we talk about ADAS, the first thing that comes into most people's mind will be the advertisement released by the car manufacturer. Example, Proton, they have the ADAS, they advertise it as ADAS. When we come to Honda, they advertise it as Honda Sensing. Mazda have the Eye Active Sense, Toyota have Safety Sense, and there's more. So whereby some people will say ADAS is a feature that needs a calibration tools to perform calibration. It needs a pattern board, it needs the target boards, and some reflector. So everyone has different perspective about ADAS. So ADAS actually called Advanced Driver Assistance System. It is a system that designed to improve safety and reduce accident happen to the vehicle. As you can see on the picture, those are some common features that come with vehicle nowadays. There are all-around view, there's cross-traffic warning, there's lane keeping technology, brake assist, and more. So now let's talk about the ADAS first appeared in the United States. So during the 2000s, the brand of Cadillac and Lexus is actually equipped with ADAS feature. So they in the 2000, night vision and adaptive cruise control were fitted in the vehicle. In the 2004, lane departure warning and intelligent cruise control were fitted in Infiniti FX. In the 2006, lane keeping assist was fitted in the Lexus LS, and then 2007 Audi, 2008 will be the GM. Okay, so during those days, only high-spec vehicle or luxury vehicle come with ADAS system. Not every vehicle equipped with ADAS, but starting from 2015, the game had changed. A lot of vehicle manufacturers starting to equip ADAS feature into the vehicle. So besides the advertising, the engine horsepower, the transmission speed, now they are actually, the manufacturer is actually advertising the ADAS feature to the user, okay? So due to the high demand of ADAS, not only high spec or luxury brand like BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, Benz come with ADAS system. Even Toyota, Kia, Ford, Nissan, or maybe Proton, Perodua already equipped with ADAS as a standard feature. So from the picture on the top, those are the common ADAS features that usually equipped in the vehicles nowadays. They are lane keeping technology, collision avoidance, parking assist, blind spot, and more. Those ADAS features are supported by different type of electrical component, such as you can notice on the left side of the picture, there are different type of radar in the market. We have short range, mid range, and long range radar. A different type of radar will be used depend on the ADAS feature that fitted to the vehicle. And those radar usually fitted on the front part or rear part of the vehicle. Next, we have the single and stereoscopic camera, an electrical component that able to detect the front part of the vehicle. And most of the time, this camera will be fitted in the middle of the front windshield. And then we have the ultrasonic or sonar sensor that installed around the bumper, usually in the front and rear bumper. So with this sensor, the vehicle able to detect the object around the vehicle, and also night view camera to detect object during the night time. Now let's talk about something more detailed about ADAS feature. There are actually two categories of system in ADAS feature. One of it we call it the passive system. So what is a passive system? A passive system of ADAS feature, meaning this feature only monitor the condition around the vehicle. It will only warn the driver by creating sound, message on the display, vibration on the steering wheel, or some of it will even project the surrounding image to the driver. It only assists the driver. The system will not take any control from the vehicle. Okay, so another system called active system. This system is a bit different from passive system. Active system able to take control of the vehicle. It can accelerate, slow down, or even stop the vehicle by itself. Not only those, some active system able to turn the steering wheel by itself. So that is active system. So to make everything look more clear, I have made a list here. You can see there are two systems. One of it is the passive, another is the active. So on the passive system, most of the ADAS features are only monitor, guide, and alert the driver. As you can see, there's LDW, we call it the lane departure warning, blind spot detection, rear collision warning, front collision warning, around view monitoring, and night vision system. So all of these features actually only monitor. So we call it a passive system. On the active system, most of the ADAS feature able to take control of the vehicle. It can brake, accelerate, or even turn the steering wheel. So as you can see, there's auto emergency braking, ACC, we call it adaptive cruise control. And then we have the auto parking, front collision avoidance. So now we have know that ADAS contain two categories. One is passive, one is active. Now let's talk about some common ADAS feature that usually fitted in the vehicle and how did those feature works. By understanding how ADAS feature works are actually very important. Without knowing how the system works, technician may not able to repair the vehicle or even misdiagnose the car. So let's talk about lane departure warning. When this feature is activated, the front camera will capture the dotted line on the highway. Okay, when the vehicle crosses the dotted line, maybe to the left or right, the system will alert the driver by showing warning sign or create some beeping sound from the instrument cluster, or maybe vibrate the steering wheel. So this system will only alert the driver. It will not take any action to the vehicle, meaning it is a passive system. Okay. On the other hand, we have this lane keeping assist. This feature is exactly same as lane departure warning, but this feature does not only alert driver by warning indicator, beeping sound from the instrument cluster, or vibrate on the steering wheel. This feature will take control of the vehicle. It will correct the vehicle position according to the dotted line. Okay, it will turn the steering wheel by itself to make sure that the vehicle is in between the dotted line, meaning lane keeping assist is an active system. Next, we have the traffic sign recognition system, a passive system. So in order to have this feature, the vehicle, they need a front camera to record the signboard on the roadside. So once the signboard detected, it will project the image to the driver on the central display or maybe in the instrument cluster. So as we have go through lane departure warning, lane keeping assist and traffic sign recognition system. So without a front camera, those features were not able to be performed. And this front camera usually fitted in the middle of the front windshield. Okay. Now let's talk about adaptive cruise control, also known as ACC. I guess a lot of people do know about this feature. So most of the luxury brands in Malaysia like BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, or maybe Benz do come with this feature. So how does ACC works? So when ACC activated, the vehicle will cruise by itself according to the speed and distance set by the driver. So when object detected in front of the vehicle, it may slow down the vehicle by itself. So now you will know that ACC is actually an active system because it drives the vehicle by itself. So on the right side, we have the auto emergency braking. So this feature is getting popular in the world because starting from 2009, Japan government actually emphasized every new build vehicle need to equip with auto emergency braking in the 2020. So this is because auto emergency braking feature able to reduce accident rate. So how does this feature reduce the accident rate? Okay, so auto emergency braking is an active system. This system will constantly monitor the front part of the vehicle. So when object detected in front of the vehicle, that will cause accident. This feature will alert the driver and will slow down or even stop the vehicle to prevent accident. Also in Malaysia, I guess Perodua might be fitted with this auto emergency braking. So it's getting more common in Malaysia local vehicle. Okay. Now let's talk about the location of the ACC, means the parts, the electrical, the supporting electrical component, where it's actually located. So we notice that both ACC and auto emergency braking do always monitor the front part of the vehicle. So most of the vehicle manufacturer will install radar in the front part of the vehicle. As you can see on the picture, there are radar installed on the side bumper, one in the left, one in the right. Some of it will install on top of the crash bar, whereby some of it will install right behind the grille logo. So, but this does not mean that all the adaptive cruise control and auto emergency braking only use radar as a supporting component. Some of the manufacturers do use front camera as a supporting component also. Okay, then we have the blind spot detection. So most of the time accident happen due to changing of lane. So this is because driver unable to view certain angle from the rear part, from the side mirror, okay? So car manufacturer add-ons blind spot detection feature into their vehicle. So by installing two pieces of radar, so one in the left, one in the right, usually at the back, the vehicle able to detect object on the blind spot area. It will alert the driver by showing indicator lights on the side mirror or maybe on the instrument cluster. Even some of it might create some beeping sound. So certain blind spot feature able to detect, sorry. So certain blind spot detection feature able to turn the steering or even brake the vehicle. So when you notice there's incoming vehicle from the blind spot area and the driver try to cut into the lane. So this blind spot detection able to prevent, means it will turn the steering back or even brake the vehicle to prevent the accident happen. And then we have the rear collision warning. This is a feature that will alert the incoming vehicle from the back and also notice the driver that collision is going to happen at the rear part of the vehicle. They will flash the hazard warning to notify the incoming driver that collision is going to happen if he did not react. Other than that, showing warning at the instrument cluster also able to alert the driver that collision is going to happen. Beside an alert from the side mirror or instrument cluster, some real collision warning able to take action. Okay, once the system confirms that collision is going to happen, it will hold the brake. So it means it will clamp the brake system. Okay, it will align the driver and passenger seat and also tighten up the seat belt. Okay, so this is we call it the collision preparation. So by doing this, it able reduce the injury during the impact. Okay, so this is the real collision warning feature. And then we have the 360-degree camera, or some of the manufacturer call it all-around view monitoring. So it's one of the passive system in ADAS. So it will assist the driver by project vehicle surrounding image on the central display. So this feature uses up to 4 cameras to support the system. So one in the front, one in the rear, and both side mirror. Underneath of the side mirror, they have a camera to make this happen. So there's a 360 view of surrounding images. And then on the right side, we got the auto parking. And I guess most of you were familiar because our Proton X70 come with this feature. Okay, the car can park by itself. So this feature is an active system. So they actually using ultrasonic sensor on some radar to perform this feature. So it able to detect the surrounding object. So if there is an empty space that able to fit the vehicle will park by itself by controlling the steering wheel or maybe the throttle. And then we have the night vision system, passive system. So this feature able to project front image on the instrument cluster or central display. They are using thermal camera. It's able to detect object during nighttime. So driver can spot object easier during nighttime. Okay. Then we have the head-up display. It usually installed in the front of the driver, in front of the driver dashboard. So this feature will project certain details on the driver windshield, such as vehicle speed, mileage, the navigation, maybe some lane departure message. So a different manufacturer will have different kind of message. So actually we have go through about 12 common ADAS features in the vehicles nowadays. That does not mean that it only have 12 kind of ADAS feature in the vehicle. Actually, there are more ADAS features. So this is because ADAS able to provide better driving experience and also able to reduce accident rate, meaning it increase the safety level. And this is why ADAS feature getting more in the vehicles nowadays. So another frequent asked question, what if ADAS system fail? So what if the supporting component like camera or radar damaged or replaced? Do they need to perform calibration? And how do they perform the calibration? So let's make an example here of a camera and radar. So when do we need to perform calibration for camera and radar? So as I mentioned, front camera usually fitted in the middle of the front windshield. So most of the time, when technician replace windshield, he or she might remove the front camera for better access of work. So after a long period, remove the camera from the system, the calibration in the camera might lose. So this will cause some ADAS feature inoperative. So by the time when we install everything, so we need to perform calibration to calibrate the data back to the camera. So what if after we install the camera and there is no any warning sign appear on the instrument cluster, or when you do a scanning that does not have any fault? Do we need to perform the calibration? So to make sure the ADAS feature works as in optimal condition, we do advise to perform a recalibration. So this is to make sure the system works as same as when it's out from the factory. And then we have the wheel alignment. So doing we need a complete wheel alignment need to be performed before any kind of calibration. So this is to make sure that vehicle steering everything straight ahead. So after perform wheel alignment to the vehicle, we do advise to perform a recalibration to the front camera as a service maintenance check. And then changing of ride height, changing of tire size, we do need to perform recalibration. This is because we need to make sure that control unit got the actual height of the vehicle. Saying to the DTC present means when there is a trouble codes out from the system. So something like camera is not calibrated, or maybe radar is not aligned. So we need to perform the recalibration for it. Same as radar. So when we move the radar or replace a radar, we need to perform the calibration to write in the calibration data back to the radar. Or when we have a minor collision, we did a collision repair, we remove the bumper. So we need to perform the calibration because most of the time the radar is attached to the front bumper or the rear bumper, or some of it will be attached on the crash bar. Okay. So we go to next. So what do we need for ADAS? Means what kind of tools we need for ADAS calibration? Okay. To begin, we need a diagnosis tablet, a scan tools that able to perform calibration on the vehicle that we want to service. And second, we need a calibration frame that able to hook up the target board, the reflector, the calibration accessory. The third one will be the target boards, patterns, and calibration accessory. And last will be the step-by-step calibration procedure and measurement specification. So in order to perform the calibration accurately, we need to have all of these tools to perform. So the good news is Autel ADAS calibration system include all of the above. The step-by-step illustration calibration procedure come with all of the specified measurement is also included in our diagnosis tablet. Okay, so what kind of calibration do we need? Okay, most of the workshop will ask. So if you are performing ADAS calibration in a fixed location, means you only perform calibration on your workshop. So we will advise to own a stationary calibration frame. Or if you are performing a calibration around the state, around the country, so we advise you to get a portable calibration frame because it's able to be fold and pack it into your car and carry around with your vehicle. Okay, so most of the time calibration need to perform on a flat surface and also an empty space. So every manufacturer will have different kind of requirement of space. So some of it they need a larger space, some of it they need a smaller place. So it's really depend. So Autel come with a minimum standard base space to perform calibration. We need about 30 feet times 16 feet of empty space. Okay, beside then an empty space, we also able to perform calibration on a we call it a 4-pole hoist, or known as the alignment hoist. So the only thing that we need to alert here is the space in front of the alignment hoist. So because some of the manufacturer calibration may need to set up the calibration frame about 4 meters away from the vehicle. Some of it they need about 2 meters. So we do advise customer to prepare at least 2 meters of empty space in front of the 4-pole hoist. So what if we perform a all-around view calibration? For certain model like Ford, their all-around view monitoring calibration may require a bigger space, a larger space, maybe 25 times 40 feet of empty space. So a lot of workshops, they say, I did not have this kind of empty space. What can we perform? Okay, to counter that problem, we actually can perform the calibration on outdoor, but we need to have the flat surface. Okay, we need to make sure the road condition is level and it's flat. Okay, so we have go through why do we need to perform calibration, what kind of tools we need to use for ADAS calibration, and then the space requirement. So now we are going to talk about ADAS calibration method. So ADAS calibration actually contains 2 methods. One of it we call the static calibration. Another is dynamic calibration. So static calibration means we perform calibration when the car doing stationary. We may need to set up the calibration frame, the targets, the reflector, or some other calibration tools on a specified location. Only able to perform the complete calibration. So we call it the static calibration, whereby the dynamic calibration does not need any kind of calibration tools. They need only a diagnostic scanner or a scan tools to initiate the vehicle calibration modes and drive according to the set pattern asked by the scan tools, meaning we perform dynamic calibration while we drive the vehicle. Okay, so when we perform static calibration, there are some important requirements we need to alert. The first thing will be the surrounding lighting. So during calibration, we do not want any strong expose of lighting on the front windshield. Okay, so when there's a reflection on the windshield, the percentage of failing for the front camera calibration will be high. This is because front camera unable to capture the target board image. And then the background of the calibration frame must not have any windows or metallic object. We need to calibrate on a flat surface or level surface. We need to use the correct calibration target patterns, accessory that need for the vehicle, because some of the vehicle might use different kind of calibration tools or targets. So we need to alert about it. And last will be the calibration procedure and specification, meaning we need to set our calibration frame how far away from the car and what is the height to set the targets. So as you can see on this picture, most of the workshop do look like this. So when we perform front camera calibration on this situation, so there are chances that we will get a fail in this process. This is because there are a lot of metallic objects behind the calibration frame. So there are reflection surface on the car panel, on the metallic fan behind, and then the workbenches. So this will cause the front camera confused which is the actual target to capture. So as you can see on this picture, this is the image that captured when we perform calibration at the front camera. So I guess most of you also have no idea where is the actual target box need to be captured. So to encounter this situation, okay, what we need to do here, either we remove all of the parts of the metallic fan, workbenches, or we actually could apply a piece of white cloth behind. So we cover the background with a piece of white cloth or panel to make sure that no any metallic object around, okay? So how about dynamic calibration? What do we need to alert? So first of all, we need to perform dynamic calibration on a good weather, meaning not a rainy day, not during nighttime. We need to perform on the daytime. We need to make sure that there are lane marking on the highway so that the front camera able to capture the dotted line. And some of the dynamic calibration do need to detect object around. So we need to make sure that there is a vehicle on the highway, but we should not perform the calibration during traffic hour. This is because there are a minimum speed that we need to achieve to perform certain kind of calibration. Also, we need to minimal the lane changing as less as possible. Okay, so there are certain brands or model like Honda, Subaru, Hyundai, or Kia do need to perform both calibration methods, only able to complete the whole process, the whole calibration process. Meaning we need to perform static calibration first after it completes with the calibration frame. So we need to proceed a dynamic calibration. We need to drive the vehicle according to the requirement that state on the tools. So there are two separate type of calibration need to perform, but it's only a certain amount of vehicle in the market. Not every vehicle need that. Okay. So a lot of people say, can I perform all the calibration in dynamic mode? They don't want to perform static calibration because they do not have the calibration frame, they do not have the target boards. So the answer will be no. Okay, so all the calibration methods are actually fixed by the manufacturer. As you can see on the chart, there are 56% of vehicles in the market need to perform calibration in a static way. Okay, and 37% of the vehicle in the market need to perform by dynamic calibration method. Only 5% need to perform both. Mean after the static, we need to perform the dynamic. And 2% of the vehicle in the market can choose either one. We perform static or dynamic. Okay. So since I have mentioned on the previous slide, there are 58% of vehicle, 56% of vehicle in the market perform calibration in static calibration method. So Altel do support a high coverage of static calibration. We have a wide range of front camera calibration target boards. We have the European cover, European, US, and Asia vehicle brands. As you can see on the slide, we have the Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Mercedes-Benz, Renault, Alfa Romeo, Volkswagen. So in the future, we are going to have more kind of target boards. Okay, and then we have the all-around view monitoring calibration patterns, or known as the 360-degree calibration. We have the Porsche, Volkswagen, Toyota, Mitsubishi, and the others. And then for real collision warning, we also have the Mercedes-Benz and Nissan. And also we have a different type of radar calibration tools. We have a huge coverage of Volkswagen, Porsche, BM, and then we have the Nissan, the Japanese vehicle like Toyota, Honda, Kia. So there are different type of calibration tools for different type of radar. Okay. Also, we have the night vision calibration for Mercedes-Benz and also for VAG Group and the GM. And also we have the four-wheel aligner calibration aids, the wheel clamp and laser targets. So as a conclusion, ADAS feature act as a important or safety system in the vehicles nowadays. Okay, it able reduce accident rate by alert the driver or even take action during emergency. So when there are a fault related to ADAS feature, as a professional technician, we do need to inform the owner about the importance of ADAS feature because it do affect the vehicle safety level. Okay, and also as a professional technician, we need to use a proper tools to perform the calibration in a correct way. Okay, so ADAS is actually a very common feature in I think coming years, and also with the recent years is also very popular. So that is for me for today. So I would like to pass back the mic back to Steve. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very, very much. I hope that was quite a comprehensive overview from a very, very dedicated equipment supplier who can deliver what needs to be delivered with regards to calibration. We tried not to go into too much technical information, and we actually have a training course that goes through it in more detail. But what we wanted to do was show you some of the depth and the differences between the types of calibration and the equipment that's needed in order to facilitate a safe repair. So I've now just got literally 3 or 4 or 5 slides going through some of the consequences of this and what repairers and insurance companies need to be aware of in order to ensure that the vehicle is repaired safely. So, you know, as far as a vehicle repairer is concerned, the first thing is that they need to have knowledge. They need to have knowledge that the vehicle is equipped with ADAS to begin with. They need to have the knowledge of what type of ADAS equipment is on the vehicle. And as was very, very clearly defined, that there's a massive difference between different manufacturers. So I'll cover this in my next slide, but from an insurance company perspective, understanding where the vehicle is repaired to ensure that the vehicle repairer has got the correct equipment, the correct training to be able to calibrate the vehicle correctly is very, very, very important. And you know, so whether it's the equipment, whether it's the technician, whether it's the repair methods, either from us or from a manufacturer, those processes desperately need to be followed. And I'll explain some of the reasons why and what the consequences of not following them are over the next couple of slides. Okay, next slide. So from an insurance company perspective, I've been watching this develop in other markets over the last few years. And one of the perspectives that an insurance company takes is the responsibility of a safe repair. Okay. Now, I've lived in Malaysia 21 years. Okay. I've been in this industry 21 years in Malaysia. So I know the market. I know the market very well. I understand we're in a tariff situation. I understand there is tremendous pressure on controlling claims costs as well. However, having said that, an insurance company has a social responsibility to make sure the vehicle is repaired correctly, so that when their policyholder gets back in the vehicle, it's as safe as it was pre-accident. Okay, and the recording, the measurement, and the data recording of understanding and carrying out the calibration is so important. So you need to know within your repairer network, as an example, which one of your repairers can calibrate a certain manufacturer, can they calibrate multiple manufacturers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so that when you're triaging or whether you're directing the vehicle to be repaired, you know that that repairer has the capability to repair the car correctly. And you need to be able to support your network with this. You know, repairers, unless you're the manufacturer, the independents don't really have the guidance and the support and the confidence to be able to say, yeah, okay, we need to invest in this equipment, we need to invest in this training, and we need to be able to provide a record of that calibration taking place back to you as an insurance company. Okay. And so it's this education, and this is why these webinars are existing. It's not just about telling you about equipment, telling you about the different types. It's about the consequence and the responsibility that we've got to make sure that this vehicle is repaired safely and correctly before it goes back to the policyholder. Now, we've also been having lots of discussions throughout last year about who's paying for this. You know, because there's a time element involved, there is equipment involved, there is training involved, and you know that's really something that MRC doesn't get involved in terms of the monetary values. What we want to get involved in is that you have the knowledge that on a lot of vehicles and a lot of repair techniques and processes, calibration is part of those hours that are in the repair method, which is why the repair method is so important. So again, we've launched repair methods. Our repair methods are available. In there, it tells the repairer what types of calibration on the vehicle and the times that are in the audited software houses that come from us include that ADAS time on a lot of the vehicles. As an example, the X70 that we've recently done the repair times for. So it's very important that you have an awareness that if a repairer is putting on his estimate the need to calibrate the vehicle, then that's something that does need to happen. Okay, it's very, very, very important. Okay, next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier about the consequences, you know, and that's not just the consequences of ADAS, it's the consequence of automated driving as well. You know, we're moving into an area that is an unknown for insurance companies. And that one of the big issues regarding ADAS equipment is liability. And where does the liability sit in the event of a further accident into that vehicle that's been repaired? And, you know, so I'll give you a really good example. So let's say you're driving a Volvo XC90 and you have an accident and the windscreen and the front bumper needs repairing. And in both those, you've got the LiDAR and the radar technology which controls the autonomous emergency braking. Now, if those are not calibrated correctly, and the vehicle drives out of the workshop and then is in another accident because the braking didn't activate because it wasn't calibrated correctly, then the question is where does the liability sit? You know, is it with the repairer who hasn't calibrated the vehicle correctly? Is it with the person or the organization that's paying for that repair. You know, these are all very, very gray areas that nobody globally has sorted out yet, but they are coming. And so one of the things, as an example, in the UK, what they did 10 years ago is they basically made it a process for any repairer that's doing insurance work or insurance claim work, that the repairer had to sign process documents that they had done the repair to the correct method and the correct specification, so that what that did for an insurance company is gave the insurance company the comfort that as far as they're concerned, their liability now is actually pushed onto the repairer, because the repairer that has stated that they have done the work as per the correct method and the correct processes. You know, so this is what's coming, and it's going that scenario is going to become very, very, very important over the next 12, 24, 36 months, where an insurance company is really going to have to look at the recording of this process to make sure that it's been done, and they can prove that it's been done if they need to prove that it's been done. So this is a big change that's going to happen for insurance companies with automated driving. You know, Bank Negara, JPJ, all the stakeholders involved, we've got some huge decisions to make with regards to regulation for automated driving. And those decisions are going to need to be made pretty quickly, because the technology is already here. It's already coming in and getting better and better and better and better. And this is all going to affect insurance companies in terms of, in the event of an accident, how is that repair managed correctly? Okay, so very, very important challenges coming up very, very, very soon. Okay, next slide. Okay, so you know, so where do we fit in? Is our little pitch. As you know, we provide the repair times and the parts price data currently to approved and audited software houses that allows insurance claims to be accurate, to be detailed, and give that sense of comfort that the times that are being requested by the repairer are correct. But what we've done recently is also expand that to have repair methods as well. So the screenshot you can see is just one example of a method on a BMW 3 Series where it shows the repairer where the ADAS equipment is located, the type of ADAS equipment it's got, and then the repair process that's going to be needed to either replace and recalibrate that equipment. So this is all included in the methods. Okay. Now, again, from an insurance perspective, something that needs to be considered is that, okay, if this vehicle goes back to BMW, there's a very high chance that BMW will have the manufacturer's information for this vehicle and be able to do this. The issue you've got with an insurance company is the independent network that won't necessarily and probably won't have the information to that OEM specification. And that's where our partnership with Thatcham comes in, where we have our own repair methods, our own repair information that allows an independent repairer that same information. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of the difference in repair cost of the vehicle going back to a manufacturer as opposed to going back to an independent repairer. So this is another thing that needs to be thought about in terms of getting your repairer network up to a level where you can confidently send that vehicle to ensure that it's being repaired correctly. Okay, so that's something that we offer, something that we're promoting more and more. And yeah, it's going to become so much more important as these vehicles are becoming more and more advanced. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is actually my last slide. So it's kind of a conclusion of what I've been saying over the past few minutes and what I was saying at the beginning. You know, every single insurance company's got lots of repairers, whether it be independent, whether it be franchise, whether it be dealers, etc., etc., etc. But the underlying delivery of service for your customer, i.e. the policyholder, is to make sure that that vehicle is repaired with high quality and safely. Okay, and the time is coming where you need to be supporting those repairers to allow them to invest, to almost expect them to invest in the equipment that's needed to repair these vehicles. This is not like 10, 15, 20 years ago. We need this equipment, we need this training, and we need this knowledge, and we need the accreditation to make sure that these vehicles are being repaired using the correct and modern equipment, the correct tooling, the correct materials, and so that you have the confidence to be able to say to your policyholder, you know, when you get the car back, we can guarantee it's safe. We guarantee the repairs. We can show you the certification of repair, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So from an insurance company perspective and from a loss adjusting perspective, you know, it's not simply about controlling that cost of repair anymore. We have to focus on the safety and somehow allow that safety element and allow that safety responsibility to be part of that repair process and to be part of the repair cost. And so that's kind of the end of my slides. It's the end of these slides. I think we're opening up to Q&A. I see we've got 18 questions so far. So I'll let Susanna take back over and facilitate this. But, you know, 314 participants is a great number, and credit to you all for signing up and wanting to learn and wanting to be aware of what we're trying to get across and the message that we're trying to get across, and we'll do more of these in the future. And yeah, any questions, we'll answer these now, and I'll let Susanna take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you, Daryl, Steve, and KY for the good sharing on ADAS. Hopefully that the sharing information is very useful for our industry. All right, okay. We will go ahead to take some time for the questions now. Okay, just reminder again, please be sure that you type your questions into the Q&A button instead that you put in the chat, because we can go through all your questions properly. All right, we received, wow, 21 questions about this. All right, we do just have probably is 5 to 10 minutes on the Q&A session. So I will be pick up for whatever that I think that is a bit important for us to sharing in here. All right, one of it, all right, from the anonymous attendee. Why does collision still occur since ADAS is equipped to the vehicle? I think the best answer is KY to answer it.
Okay, sure. So why accidents still occur when there is ADAS feature, right? So ADAS technology are meant to help the driver to reduce their driving risk, okay? They will not take over the task of the driver, okay? So meaning that they will reduce the accident rate, but does not say that it will be totally no accident when ADAS feature comes in. Also, sometimes when we say, let's say we talk about we have this auto emergency braking, okay? But let's say there's a maybe someone said my vehicle with auto emergency braking. So let's say the driver is driving 150 km per hour, and the distance to brake the whole car is took about maybe like 3 or 4 km to make it stop. So the time to react might not have enough, or the car unable to brake in time. So sometimes also the driver did not react as soon as possible. So ADAS currently in the state of helping out reduce the accident rate happen only. It won't prevent any accident. Okay, it will reduce only. Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right. Second questions. All right. All right, from Thomas Alexander. Okay, for the change in the ride height, is the other system affected by weight? i.e., if the vehicle is fully loaded with the passenger and luggage?
Yep.
I'll
answer that more bit technical. So when we perform calibration, means let's say we want to perform a front camera calibration. So there is a pre-preparation before the calibration. Okay. The first thing that I have mentioned just now from the slide, we need to perform a wheel alignment to make sure that everything is straight ahead. And also, we need to make sure the vehicle load is unload. We need to make sure the vehicle, when perform the calibration, the status is same as it out from the, we can't say 100% same because not every car will be 100%. So we say close to the same as the condition of the vehicle out for the factory. So when we perform calibration, the tools, our Autel tools also will show you a list that you need to take after. So it means one of it is you need to load and unload the passenger or the luggage compartment. Means you should not have the weight on the back or the front. Okay, even though some of it require you to have a full fill of your petrol tank also. So there is a list of pre-preparation.
All right. The third questions. What's the difference between radar and sonar or sonic sensor? How do they work? And how to test them? Is a radar, is a hazard? So
when we talk about radar, sonar, sonic, so actually they are sending frequency, right? But the frequency that radar, sonar, or sonic sensor, ultrasonic sensor, the detection, how far they can send the frequency is different. So every manufacturer will install or every different kind of ADAS feature. Let's say they does not need to have a further range of detection. They will use maybe sonar or ultrasonic sensor. If they are using like ACC, they need to have maybe 20-meter range of frequency detection. So they will use radar. And also radar have, as I mentioned, there's a total of 3 kinds: of short range, mid range, and long range. So it depends on the feature and depend on manufacturer what kind of radar or what kind of supporting component they need in the feature.
Yeah, seems like the question is more to all the technical things. All right, okay. This another one is any course training on the calibration and for the technician. I think the best thing is Steve to answer it.
Yeah, there's training. There's training by MRC. We have an ADAS awareness course where we look at this in a lot more depth. We cover a much wider area, and we also have a hands-on section where we expect our students and our participants to be involved and actually calibrate vehicles as well. So yeah, there is training available. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. We go to another questions. I'm trying to choosing on the technical things. I'm into sharing here. So all right. All right. Can ADAS be fitted and used to any vehicle for ordinary accessory shop? And what would the calibrations like to follow the accessory shop or the vehicle use?
So the meaning of, I guess he asked that when they install a third-party accessory, for example, third-party usually will be the 360 camera or all-round view monitoring. Okay, so most of the time, what Autel developed here is same as the manufacturer, means what released by manufacturer, what kind of target box, everything will be same as manufacturer. So if the third-party accessory are actually using the same as the manufacturer, they actually can perform with the same target board or the same all-round view pattern board. So it's really depend on the third-party accessory. Yep.
Susanna, yeah, I'd like to sort of look at the 2 questions or the 2 statements from Anonymous and Ping Kiong.
Okay.
Yeah, which are very good points. So yeah, there's no denying that the equipment being trained and the time taken incurs a cost. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to hide that, and it really isn't for MRC to hide it or promote it. Now, the statement of cover the cost and insurance is reluctant to pay. Do MRC have any solution to help the stakeholders in this? Similar is to the question by Ping Kyung regarding ready to qualify and repair vehicles equipped with ADAS. Okay, so let's look at those two questions. You know, this is why the repair method is so important, because the repair method is whether it comes from us or whether it's the manufacturer's repair method, clearly stipulates that calibration needs to take place in the event for this repair to be certified as a correct repair, right? And our repair methods and our repair times have, on most of the vehicles, have the time included in the repair time. Now, and this is why having a transparent, line by line, detailed estimate is crucial, so that everybody knows that that is an operation of the repair. Now, in our opinion, there's no difference to saying recalibrate the front sensors as to replace a headlight. In our opinion, it's the same thing. They're both crucial parts of that vehicle going back on the road safely. Just because it's not a tangible piece of equipment that you can't see, it doesn't mean that you can hide it. It's almost like switching the airbag sensors off. Just because you can switch it off doesn't mean you should. So it's an important part of the repair process that needs to be identified, needs to be highlighted, and clearly shown. But yes, there is time that's involved. There is investment into the equipment to be able to carry it out. But from an insurance company perspective, which is what most of our participants are, the other way of looking at it is that the OEMs, the manufacturers, will not repair the car without doing this. Okay, they have the equipment, they have the time, they'll have the accredited staff, and they'll also have a labor rate that's probably 4 times higher than your independent network. Okay, so the manufacturer that car goes back to, they will not repair that car without calibrating. They will not. It's part of their standards. So what we have to do is make sure that the independent network is crucially trained and has the ability to offer the same kind of service. So I don't think it's a question of whether reluctant to pay or not. That's a commercial decision between insurers and repairers. But from a process and procedural decision, I can guarantee you that manufacturers will not repair that vehicle without calibrating it. They will not allow that vehicle to go back on the road. It's their vehicle, it's their brand, you know? So it is part of the process. What we want to do is trying to help the insurers with their repairer network, which is why my last slide, which you'll all get, is about improving your own network. So we can improve the independent repair network. You have an alternative. But yes, okay, there may be extra costs involved, but that's costs that are going to have to be incurred anyway. It's as important as fitting a new part. It really is. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. I think that you already combined a few questions. You already answered a few questions that you already asked. Okay, these are technical questions from Muhammad Marzuki. Okay, can the radar and the sensor can be reused or serviceable if it is non-visible damage during the collisions? Okay, why I think?
Sorry, come again.
All right, can the radar and the sensor can be reused or serviceable?
Okay, so radar usually they can't be serviced. So we use, because we know that a lot of parts on the markets, not everyone are using the new parts, maybe they're using the second-hand parts. So we do need to confirm that the parts condition is good. And how do we make sure it? Actually, I guess in the markets currently, they does not have a actual tools to perform the checking whether the radar is in good condition or not. But still, we recommend customer to use a brand new radar, because it's something related to safety, because ADAS will reduce the safety level. So if you use a second-hand one, we can't confirm is it good or not unless you bring back the parts back to the manufacturer who made the radar. They can check it. So we will advise to use a brand new radar and perform the proper calibration, then everything will be good.
All right, okay. All right, we receive a lot questions here, but we try to answer as much as we can because we still have a time, another 5 minutes, I guess. Less than that, okay. I think the panel should be all right, right? We continue with the questions?
Yeah, and any questions that we don't answer, just drop us an email and we can answer them over email afterwards anyway. So that's okay. Yeah, that's
all right, okay. We will post another question from Takayuki Masuzaka-san, all right, about the statistic and dynamic calibration. If we have the calibration by the same car, can we get the same result? Okay, what I think?
About static.
Okay, about the static and dynamic calibration, if we have the calibration by the same car, can we get the same result?
Yes, for sure, because before we perform any calibration, there's a pre-preparation. So we need to make sure that all of the vehicle in their same condition, means when we replace the radar, so the radar location where it fitted, it needs to be same as the car that out for the manufacturer. So the result out will be same, I can say. But the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that the car condition, both of it, is in the same condition. So the result will be the same, yeah.
Okay. Actually, it's a continue to the same question. I just combined it. How long is it for the dynamic calibration?
So dynamic calibration is usually is on the road and you need to drive in a certain pattern that required. So also if you does not have met any requirements, so the system is still on the calibration mode. So unless usually I guess roughly, I give a roughly idea, maybe dynamic calibration usually took about maybe like within an hour. It's also really depend on the situation on the road.
All right, okay. All right, thank you. So
Susanna, sorry, I disconnected for a while, but I wanted to add on to the last question that Ichik Mazuki raised regarding the second-hand sensors, and I believe he also asked regarding the target boards of the ADAS systems. Okay, so for the ADAS target boards, those are usable. Those have no wear and tear on them. So in terms of the equipment for the ADAS, the target boards, as long as you keep them in good working condition, the target boards will last you a lifetime. Now, for the sensors, I think it's I did hear about whether used sensors can be still used back. These sensors are very, very, very highly sensitive piece of equipment that they deal with a lot of minute micro details of angle adjustments and such. So I also read a question early on in the Q&A that stated, why do you need to recalibrate the sensor even though you remove a bumper? This bumper is a static object and it shouldn't be damaged unless a crash happens. I saw that question just now. Now, these sensors are so sensitive to the extent that they have a position in the bumper that even the slightest removal or slightest nudge to the sensor can affect the angle of how the sensor works. This is why what KY was saying, that when it comes to sensors, these all have to be used new. They're recommended that way. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
all right, okay. I'm trying to choose related with technical and our topic today. Okay, do the calibration have a lifespan or scheduler of when should it to recalibrate again beside of the situation as explained? I mean, on the collisions.
Meaning beside the collision, I guess this is also really depend on the Malaysia law. I guess in Japan, they actually have yearly inspection. They need to make sure to do a inspection on their ADAS feature. They need to recalibrate to make sure that the system is working well. Okay, only that they can get their cars on the road, mean their, we call it the road tax for the next year. So it's really depend on Malaysia. So we actually advise car owners to perform the calibration or recalibration yearly. to make sure the system is good.
All right. Okay. I think we will be another last questions that will be will be bring this up. Okay. Where can we get the technical document for MRC, and what calibrations should be done on the specific vehicle so we can be sure? I think Steve can answer it.
Yeah, sure. So we have online vehicle repair methods that we cover a huge amount of vehicles on the roads in Malaysia. That's been expanded all the time. So we're just at the moment going through looking at some local manufacturers and building the repair methods for them. So you can contact Susanna and they'll answer that directly. And yeah, so and it's part of our online platform, it's part of our portal, and we will soon be putting them to be made available within the estimating systems as well, so you can have them direct per estimate. And so yeah, there's different places that you can get them. And I've just answered one of the questions about ensuring that it's being done. And that's something I mentioned earlier in my presentation, that in our opinion, yeah, that methodology should be almost signed and stamped by the repairer that they followed that method. Even if they've done the repair on this vehicle 100 times before, and that technician can do it with his eyes closed, in our opinion, they should still be stamping the fact that they've done it to that correct repair method. And again, that comes down to a liability issue. Once that stamp has taken place, the liability really is then with the repairer because he says he's done it. And that gives a great deal of comfort to an insurance company or even a loss assessor to say that that work has been done correctly. Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay. I will be read another one last questions here. All right. Okay. I think this one should be sharing to us. Which control module which control module control the ADAS system? DTC normally store on which control module? These are too technical. I mean, I think KY will
So, okay, sure. Where is the DTC store? So it's also depends, like I have mentioned, in a vehicle, there's a few kind of feature. For example, we have lane departure warning. So it's controlled by the front camera, right? And then we have the ACC controlled by the radar. So all of these actually have a different type of control unit controlling. So it's really depend on the manufacturer, what kind of control unit they have used. Okay, so let's say it's a front camera, and front camera is act as a control unit, so we can find it at the front camera control unit. But let's say it's the ACC that come out of fault, so we need to find for the ACC control unit. So every manufacturer have different type of control unit, and they might name it differently. So as a technician, I guess they need to alert with the technology used in the vehicle.
All right. Thank you to all the panels. I think I would like to apologize for the participants that for some questions that we are not answering because we are running out of time. Don't worry that for those that answer that we will not answer that, probably that just drop an email to us, and then we will answer it to you by writing. All right. In terms of technical questions or any questions that are related with today's topic. All right. All right. Thank you again for all the questions. All right. If you can see on the slide, we have to mention about the MRC training on the slide, right? All right. It's stated the MRC schedule. We do have the ADAS training for the year 2021. There's a 4 session on that. Probably if for those that are interested on that, please drop me an email, and then you can register with the to the email or to the MRC online registration. All right. I think we'll be sharing to the email as well. All right. Okay, thank you. All right. Any query on the products or the training, you can contact MRC directly as stated in the slide. So yeah, we will be sharing with you all the today recorded version, and then will be emailed to all the participants today. And then for any query about the product and tool, please contact the Unipay Engineering Sdn Bhd as stated as well in the slide. And then I think that we already come to the end of the MRC webinar today about the topic of ADAS. And then thank you to everyone. And then we really appreciate for you being here. And then thanks again to joining us today, and we will see you on the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Steve.
Thank
Susanna.
you.
Thank you, KY. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.